Hello neighbor, I'm Robert Burns and it's a real thrill to be back with you. And you have my word, we will be updating the Stephen Street feature and you will not want to miss that. I know I've gotten some inquiries and I've not given out much of a hint of what all's going to be in it because I want you to be in anticipation mode for the second installment on an update of Stephen Street. But I wanted to go ahead and put this feature out here. Let me just say this, sometime back, I believe it was in May, mid-May or so, Scott McKay, who is the publisher for the Hayride, relayed an incident in which an offer was made to him for $10,000 for him to withhold writing any more negative articles about the gasoline tax. Someone wrote the comment, well, gee, why didn't you report this as a bribe? Well, the very simple answer to that is it's not a bribe. Scott McKay is not an elected official. He's not a public figure. And so it would be perfectly legal for that individual, whom he did not name, to have made him that $10,000 payment. And I think that speaks volumes to the clout that Scott McKay and the Hayride have. Now, having said that, I never thought I would be in a similar type of situation because, quite frankly, I've always felt like I just don't have anywhere near the distribution that Scott McKay has. I mean, it's just that simple. But I will say this, I do have some fairly important people on the Sound Off Louisiana distribution list. And as many of you know, we have put out two features recently that didn't exactly portray Governor Edwards as chairman of his gaming commission, Ronnie Jones, in a very favorable light. And one thing about the video, and you put someone's picture up there and you make an association, it tends to stick. And that's one reason I like having a video blog. And let me just say this, Wednesday of last week, which many of you may recall was my mother's birthday, her 87th birthday, and I put out a little piece to celebrate it. Well, on that very day, I got an email, and it's a little bit similar to the situation with Scott McKay, and we're going to give you the email. I've blown it up. However, I did make a commitment to this particular individual that I would not give out their name or the email address, and I have also redacted out some other information that I think might lead some folk, if they know who this is, to hone in on exactly who sent me the email. But I'm going to provide it to you because an offer of cash was offered to me if I just gave my address, that cash would be forthcoming in the mail. But they made a less than subtle appeal to me to lay off of Ronnie Jones. And so I'm making this feature because I want to set the record straight on a few things. The person who sent this email says they're a big fan of mine, and they very well may be, but I can tell you I have stated numerous times on these videos, and I'm going to state it again so that everyone is clear on this, not just this individual, but everyone else. I am not going to accept paid advertising, and I am not going to accept one dime for my viewership or readership. It's not that I don't appreciate the measures. I want total independence. I don't want whatever I relay to you, and I want to make every effort to make darn sure it's factual, but it's not going to be influenced by monetary decisions. And having said that, it also is not going to bother me if someone leaves my blog. I will just tell you right now that during the treasurer's race, as many of you know, I actively supported the candidacy of John Schroeder. And I put out several pieces that were not very flattering of Neil Reiser. I can't help what people do, okay? And I will tell you that I had one very loyal and dedicated subscriber who basically told me she was done with my blog. And I said, be that as it may, I've enjoyed having you, but I'm not about to temper what I'm going to say on these things to fit itching ears. I'm just not going to do it. The chips will just have to fall where they may. I think you're going to find Scott McKay to be largely the same type mode, and I very much admire him for that. But I want to go into, and by the way, for those of you not familiar, there's going to be a major push to expand landside gaming even though Tyler Bridges used the word gambling repeatedly in the article. And we're going to give you a link for his article. Technically, he ought to go out and word check that, because gambling in Louisiana is illegal. Gaming is not. But at any rate, I'm kidding with you there, Tyler, but you using that word gambling, you're saying that all these illegal activities will be taking place. Gaming, on the other hand, is fine. But at any rate, there's going to be a major push in the legislative session to expand gaming to accommodate more, not having to be out on the river, so to speak, and to have more land-based casinos. And I will just say, from my own vantage point, my take on that is I would be very supportive, because you know, anything that the government generates money from, and it's totally voluntary as that is, you certainly don't have to go to a casino, all right? And so I would be totally supportive of that. I realize that there's the potential for corruption, as we've had so often when gaming has expanded in the past. I'll cross my fingers and hope that doesn't happen this time, and that the state can just get some more revenue, and thereby maybe we won't have John Bel Edwards or whoever may be occupying the governor's mansion coming to us year after year after year to say we need more taxes, because I don't know about you, but I'm fed up with it, okay? So to the extent that, and Dan Martini, the sponsor of the bills, has even said, people don't want taxes, but they don't seem to mind gaming. Well, you pretty well described me, Senator Martini. You can fit me in that category too, and I believe there's probably going to be plenty more. I know one thing: if it's going to take some of the pressure valve off of this taxes thing, go for it. All right, now we're going to provide you with the email that I received, and as I said, I have redacted out the individual's name, the email address, and some other key points that I think may have caused some to be able to lead into whom this individual is, but I'm going to go ahead and cover the email. It began when I got this email. As you can see, it was on Tuesday, March the 6th at 3:29. I'm sorry, I thought it was my mother's birthday, but actually the first email came the day before, so I'll stand corrected on that. Tuesday, March the 6th at 3:29 p.m. And it says, "Hey Robert, thank you for what you do. I really admire your work. You've got a real great sense of humor, and I love the way you dog an issue." Well, I will admit I do that. I don't always agree with everything you write, but that's okay, because I'm there most of the time with you, especially when it comes to JBE. That would be our governor, John Bel Edwards. "I couldn't find a mailing address for you online, and I don't make very much these days anyway." Now, I've redacted out the next portion because I don't want people honing in onto where he has worked and so forth. "But I can get an address. But if I can get an address, I'll try to send you a little cash to help defray some of your expenses, like copying and such, when I get my check. One final observation," and here there's always a but, you know, and here's the little but. "One final observation, and please don't be offended. Trust me, I'm not going to be offended on anything you tell me. If my skin was that thin, I'd have never gotten behind this camera and done a blog. So one final observation, and please don't be offended. Don't come down too hard on Ronnie Jones. I knew him a few years ago and know that he's a pretty decent and honest guy. Haven't seen him or talked to him in years, but," and I'm redacting out that part because he gets a little specific there in terms of the time frame, and I'm trying to help ensure no one hones in on who this is. "He obviously shouldn't have been passing along street talk about Durbin, but I wasn't much a fan of the LSPC anyway. My point is this: Jones was appointed by Jindal and Wagaspack. He plays on that team and is closely associated with Jeff Landry's folks. But I'm afraid the more you drag him into the LSPC stuff, the greater the motivation for JBE to try and get him off of the gaming board so he can be replaced with another JBE appointee. I'm not sure that would be good for the state. One only need look at the other JBE appointees to see that. Don't know if you remember, but it was Jones who was threatened with jail by Judge Janice Clark several years ago when he criticized her in The Advocate for boneheaded gaming decisions. He refused to apologize even after EWE, that would be Edwin Washington Edwards, tried to force him to do so. The Supreme Court put a stop to all the foolishness when they said he had a right to speak his mind. In my opinion, that's the kind of guy we need to keep around." And I want to say this. what I reported on, and we'll give you the link for both of the previous two posts that have been put out with regard to the Kathy Durbin constructive discharge lawsuit. And we're far from done. As I told you, segment 3 will be forthcoming, and it's going to focus on the head of Governor John Bel Edwards' super PAC, T. Taylor Townsend, and that will be an interesting feature that you won't want to miss too. But I mean, when material is placed in a lawsuit, okay, I'm going to report on it if I think it's relevant. I will point out that I find it very ironic that I am the only media source who reported on what Ronnie Jones said, which is he said that someone in the governor's office, when it was being pointed out that Kathy Durbin was saying, Governor, you're not making these appointments in accordance with the Constitution of Louisiana, which if you will remember, I've shown the video where he held his hand and swore that he would uphold the Constitution. Ronnie Jones has indicated that someone in the governor's office, he didn't specify who, he just said the governor's office had, quote, told her to shut the F up, unquote. Okay? So I'm not going to put blinders on and pretend like something like that didn't happen, okay? And the message in that is not the fact that Ronnie Jones said that. The relevant and pertinent part is that someone in the governor's office would make such a statement, okay? And I'm not going to withhold that. If you want filtered press, all you've got to do is open up the Advocate, because as I showed you, and I'm not going to hold up the article. In fact, I don't have the article anymore. I finally threw the Advocate away. That's the first one I've had for 5 years. But you ain't going to find, use a little bad grammar, you ain't going to find that little quotation anywhere in there. And it may have been in the original draft that Jim Mustian put together, because Jim Mustian's a good reporter. But I can promise you there's no way in hell that's going to survive editing. It just isn't going to happen. It might have very well survived had David Vitter been elected as governor, but it ain't going to survive. You know, it's just not going to happen, okay? And as I said, that's one reason I don't accept advertising, and no offense, but I don't accept even a cost reimbursement, if you will, from readers or viewers. I want to stay totally independent. And so I'm going to read the response that I sent back, and then the third segment will be the last of our correspondences. But one of the reasons I wanted to do this is so that every viewer and every reader knows where I stand. Because while I appreciate the gestures that the gentleman made, I really don't want to get any more such communications, and I hope by doing this video I'll nip it in the bud where I stand on this, and I won't ever get another communication like this. Not that I'm angry about it, I just don't want them, okay? I just don't know any other simpler way to say it. So I responded back on March the 6th at 7:56 p.m. So there'd been about, I don't know, a 4-hour lag between when he sent this and when I sent the response. And I said, hi, names redacted. I want to express my appreciation for your kind words and also for your generous offer. While I appreciate it, when I formed my blog, it was with a firm determination in my mind that I would never accept any form of paid advertising, nor would I accept donations from any subscriber. It gives me the freedom to say exactly what is on my mind, and as is one of my latest features indicated, that certainly isn't going to be the case with the mainstream media publications, most especially The Advocate. All right? You will never have to worry about me sharing your name or personal email address ever. During the Edmondson Amendment scandal, for which I have a website, and I gave the link to the website, one of my key sources was so paranoid about it being uncovered that he was my source that I promised him that I would never store his number on my cell phone, which I didn't, and it still isn't today, and I have it written on a small sheet of paper and located in a place where only I would know where to go and find it. And that's true to this day. If I needed to contact that gentleman, I would have to go get this sheet of paper to get his number. Concerning Ronnie Jones, I merely report what is stated in the petition. Obviously, I'll closely follow as discovery proceeds in the matter such that he can provide evidence to the contrary if he takes issue with what Ms. Durbin stated in paragraph 17 of her petition. You have my word on that, and I will report whatever ends up resulting, be it a denial, an admission, or whatever. I would also make this offer. If you would like to contact Mr. Jones and let him know that if he would like to conduct a Sound Off Louisiana feature to broadcast his, quote, side of the story on the incident, I will be more than happy to have the camera at the ready and videotape it as a separate feature. That's being as fair as I know how to be. But I just report whatever I uncover, be it good, bad, ugly, or any combination thereof, entailing any subject matter I uncover. It's the way I conducted my duties when I was a federal government fraud investigator 22 years ago, and it's the same standard I impose as I conduct my research for Sound Off Post. Feel free to extend my offer to Mr. Jones. He can respond to me at this email address, and I will be more than happy to provide him the opportunity to respond to the material in paragraph 17 of Ms. Durbin's suit. Thanks again for your kind words, redacted, and I hope the remainder of your week goes well. And then our final communication, he responded back to me about 24 hours later, and this one was on Wednesday, March the 7th, which is why I had that date in my head. This was our final communication. He was very kind in the response back, and it was sent at March 7th at 4:39 p.m. And it said, "Thanks for your reply, Robert. I appreciate you taking the time to get back to me." Well, I try to do that with just about everybody, but I'll tell you, the number of emails I'm getting now is making that more difficult. I was never suggesting that Jones's boneheaded comment not be reported. I think that was necessary. My only point was that based on what I've read and conversations with, and I'm taking that part out to try to keep people from zoning in on who he may be. Jones was just part of the supporting cast in this drama that played out, not a leading role. And I guess I just worry about him becoming collateral damage and being forced to step down by JBE. Those guys are treacherous, unrelenting, and unforgiving. Jones was the guy who had, and I'm taking all of that sentence out because I think that provides a little bit too much detail of this, incident that might cause that to zone in on who this is. That's why you see a line and a half redacted. I hear they remain close today, so that's all I was saying. I just hate to see good people get hurt. Do what you need to do as a reporter. I respect you in that. I also appreciate the offer to let Jones tell his side of the story. Two problems there. One, I haven't been in contact with him in years, not even sure he would remember me, so I wouldn't be the guy to convey the offer, but I think it's noble of you to make the offer. But by the way, Mr. Jones, if you're watching this, the offer stands. You're more than welcome. I will have this camera ready, and you can present your side of the story if you think that Ms. Durbin's contention in paragraph 17 in any way is not accurate. And that was all of his first part. He said, and then secondly, I am sure because he was named in whatever paragraph, well, it's paragraph 17, in whatever paragraph, he probably now has some attorney who now tells him to, quote, shut the F up, unquote. That irony can't be lost on either of us, I'm sure. Best of luck and keep up the good fight. So I do find that interesting. I don't know that the source of this is even the actual name and whatnot. I mean, anybody can do anything, as you know. But what is clear is that this individual feels like it would be a disservice to the state if Governor Edwards removed Ronnie Jones from the Gaming Commission. I don't know Mr. Jones. I can tell you that the little commentary in there that he was appointed by Jindal is certainly not a selling point for me, okay? But I know that Jindal did have a few good people. Hell, he named me the Auctioneer Licensing Board. I didn't last long because I was quick to state the corruption that was going on in that board, and I didn't last long. And I wear that firing, and make no mistake, they asked me to resign. I said, go to hell. I'm not resigning. I wear the badge of the Bobby Jindal termination with a tremendous amount of pride. But at any rate, this individual clearly feels like losing Ronnie Jones off the Gaming Commission would be a blow to the state. I don't know whether it would or it wouldn't. I do agree with him that JBE certainly has Governor Edwards certainly has a very suspect record with regard to all the appointments he made, and we're going to have a couple of more to reveal to you in the next not too distant future that you'll find quite interesting. They still serve, and they got some problems, okay? And we will be revealing some of those problems. If Ellen Parliamentarian boards and commissions, if you're watching this, you might want to start searching around, you know, because I'm going to put it out there, you know. But at any rate, I can't control that, and I have no idea who he would put on there if Ronnie Jones was replaced. That's not my place. I'm not the governor. All I do is take whomever he puts on whatever board, and let's see how it works out. And so far, a lot of them haven't worked out. I don't know about Mr. Jones. I don't have enough knowledge of him. I do know from the feedback I've gotten from state police, from various segments, he has some both positive supporters and he's got some major detractors. But who the hell knows? But one thing I do want to make sure and everybody understands from this video, I'm going to report whatever transpires. I'm not saying Jones made that statement. I'm not saying the governor's. I'm saying it is a fact that it's in the petition. That's what trials are for, to sort out. Now, you also have to sign off saying that you certify that what you placed in that petition is truthful. And luckily, there's an attorney who was in the room that also heard this. It was on speakerphone. See, the situation was Jones was unaware that Durbin was in that room when he uttered that. I would imagine if he had that benefit of that knowledge, he probably wouldn't have said what he said. But again, I want to emphasize, the point is not that Ronnie Jones said that. The point is that either the governor or someone in his inner circle said, shut the F up. And it'll be a cold day in hell before I don't report on just such an incident. Thank you once again. We look forward to bringing you Stephen Street Installment 2. Hope everyone had a great weekend, and we'll see you again real soon. Thank you so much.